in my advocate's claim, he states that the media's use of information causes a corrupt point of view towards people's opinions in a certain matter or subject. His supporting secondary claims are: the media attempts to control your beliefs and your stance on a certain subject. Another one is that the internet itself is blocked from certain sites to hide information from the people of specific countries. And that social networking is influenced in the youth's opinion, causing a large number of populations to be biased. On the first claim, I chose to have an evidence challenge where, while his facts do seem legitimate, I was going over his site source, and upon reading his quotes on how North Korea was very strict and unable to have freedom of speech, in that same source around the area of North Korea, it states how the associates that there was another media source that was not television, and more around the area of this thing called the Associated Press, opened a bureau in the capital of North Korea. Basically, a new press system, though small, had cracked or slightly weakened the hold of the censoring in North Korea. In his secondary claim, there are most blockings of other countries are usually in favor of the government in the area. However, as much as I wanted to, I couldn't really find. It was really hard to find evidence supporting or dissupporting this claim, since there wasn't many citations. This simply led me to conclude that even though that censoring information is bad in the internet, there are also some terrible sites that aren't safe for the public, that some governments may choose to censor for their own safety of their people. And in my final challenge is that he makes a claim on social networking and the influences of the youth opinion. This one kind of confused me, simply because the influences by these ads or signs in the social internet may be influential, but I doubt that it would be very big in the impact of their influence. In other words, it's not really that important. In a study by some professors of tracking social network population, they were able to deduct to estimate how 93% of the people who use Facebook, for example, use mostly the normal features, simply as commenting, liking, updating, and that 7% is either away from the keyboard or simply an idle page while people use a different channel. This simply leads me to believe that despite my advocate's ideals and points in this argument, he lacks sufficient foot ground on his information, and most of his reasonings are faulty. That's it.
All right, well, you identify the main and secondary issues pretty clearly. You signpost them as you get to them. On the first one, there's kind of a general challenge on evidence, but it basically comes down to, okay, so North Korea does this. I think that you then get sidetracked on some issue about alternative media and whether, the fact that they open an AP bureau in North Korea. I guess the inference that you're making here is that that North Korea actually is becoming more open than it once was. I make that as a declarative sentence if that's the argument that you're trying to get across. But I'm not sure that you understand what the argument is that you're trying to get across here, and I'm not sure that the inference that the advocate is presenting is as clear as it should be. Are there governments that do limit access to information? I don't think anybody disputes that, so why is this a controversy? Why is there an argument on this? The question is, can people get access to information despite those limitations, or should we be taking some action to help people get access to that information, or is there any harm that occurs because of that? I'm not sure to begin with where the dispute on this is, and it seems like you're perfectly willing to kind of let it go along the same way. The same thing with the blocking of various sites. You do come down at one point and say, well, sometimes some sites might be potentially dangerous to the citizens of a country, but that's an assertion on your point, and I don't think you want to end up advocating censorship that the advocate is criticizing unless you really have a strong argument justifying that. That just seems like it's kind of a default position that you're taking there instead of something that you actually actively thought about. You've got an argument on social networking. There's actually some evidence on this particular point. I'm not sure what the information that you have about the percentage of users who are using the normal things versus those who are have an idle site, what that all means. Because I think the problem is that it's not clear what the advocate meant on this particular point. And that should be your claim, that it's not clear what it is that the advocate is trying to infer from this. Do people use social media? Yes. Are there things on that site that could influence them? Yes. But there are things that can influence people driving along the road. They see billboards. Hey, there's advertising there. They see television. Hey, there are commercials there. They listen to a political speech. Hey, you might be influenced by the opinion that's going on here. What is unique about this argument? What is harmful or consequential about any of this? And those are the kinds of claims that I think you need to be a little bit more assertive about. I think one of the problems here is that you let the uncertainty of the advocate's arguments interfere with the certainty of your claims. I think you'd be better off by just saying, look, it's not clear what he says here, and if this is what he's saying, here's what the problem is. And you need to be a little bit more forceful about saying that. You sound like you're kind of backing into an argument, trying to explain what's going on here, and you're not really sure what to say about it, and I think that undermines your ability to come across as confidently as you need to. Even if your arguments are complete BS, I think you could probably just make a claim and in comparison feel like you've done a clear job of responding to the argument. I think that that's what's missing here. All right, thank you.